Hi everyone, it's Princess Lettuce with another Beyond Good and Evil 2 music collaboration behind the scenes video. Today I'd like to talk to you guys about languages. As you might be able to hear, English is not my native language. My accent or my pronunciation might sound a little bit funky to you native speakers out there, and that is because my native language is actually Dutch. Ik woon in België, ik woon in Vlaanderen en dus spreek ik Vlaams. My mother tongue is actually Dutch or Flemish because I live in Belgium. And so English is just something I learned through playing video games like Beyond Good and Evil, and by watching TV shows and movies, etc. So my English is pretty decent, but it's not my native language. However, I don't really think that, English is a problem for me when it comes to singing or rapping or writing lyrics, because my English is good enough for that. However, during the Beyond Good and Evil 2 collaboration, I was challenged to try quite a few languages that, some I knew how to pronounce already, but some I didn't, and it was a really, really interesting experience.
Chicken little monkeys, can you hear?
First, I'd like to give you a little bit of background information about Beyond Good and Evil 2. So Beyond Good and Evil 2, just like the original Beyond Good and Evil game, will be set in the distant future, and it will be set in a completely other place than where we are living here and now. So it will not be set on Earth, and it will not even be set in our solar system. The game will be set in a place called System 3, which will be filled with planets that we will get to explore. The people who live in System 3, however, they do still have some kind of a connection to Earth-based cultures because their ancestors do come or did come from Earth. So in the game, even though it's futuristic and it's not set here on Earth, you will come across certain elements from our modern day society, such as, cultural elements such as languages and religions and maybe some deities, iconography. You will definitely see things that we know in the here and now, but you have to keep in mind that it is still set in the future, and so these things will be adapted to fit the lore of the game. When the Ubisoft/Hit Record collaboration was announced, the Ubisoft devs made it really clear that they wanted to incorporate certain elements of specific cultures into the game, and they were saying that they really, really want to emphasize Indian and Chinese influences in the game. This means that for the music collaboration, they were asking producers and instrumentalists to experiment with Eastern instruments. This also means that they provided us with a bunch of lore that we could base ourselves on. That's the real challenge for us creatives, for artists, is that you're not writing from the perspective of somebody who's making music in 2021 on Earth. You're writing in character, you're writing from the perspective of a human or a hybrid who is living their life in System 3. So you're rapping about the politics that are happening in the game. You're rapping about things that are, talked about and discussed and in that game, in that world. So it's really cool because I had never rapped in character before. I had never written lyrics in character before. I always write from the heart, from myself, from my own experiences. And so as an artist, that was a really fun creative challenge. Now, coming back to the subject of languages. So they said that they wanted a lot of Indian and Chinese elements in the music, and of course that also means that they wanted to hear Indian languages, and they wanted to hear Chinese, Cantonese, Mandarin Chinese. They really wanted to include those languages in the music as much as possible. However, obviously, not that many hit recorders are native Chinese speakers, so that posed quite a challenge for the community. Fortunately though, there were quite some people who provided, us non-native speakers with all the information we needed to get started. For example, for the song Unite Us, this song has a really beautiful Hindu mantra in the chorus. and there was actually a video that was created by a cultural consultant, and she explained first of all, how to pronounce the mantra, but she also explained the, cultural significance of mantras and the meaning of these mantras, not just a translation, but, how to use them and how they are a part of this Indian culture. And again, it's important to keep in mind that you want to, on the one hand, be as genuine as possible. You want it to sound like actual, properly pronounced Hindi, and you want to be respectful towards Hinduism and towards Indian culture, but at the same time you also want to kind of transform it so that it becomes a System 3 version of this culture and of this religion. So it's really interesting, and she really explained it very well. She was very, very helpful, and I think we all learned a lot, not only about the language and the pronunciation, but also about the culture, which is a really cool experience. Another example I'd like to share with you guys is we are hybrids. I speak Mandarin Chinese quite well, I would say, because I majored in Mandarin Chinese at university. So I studied it for many years, and you will hear me singing and rapping in Mandarin Chinese on the Beyond Good and Evil 2 soundtrack several times. However, once I graduated, I always kind of wondered, why don't I learn Japanese as well? I always wanted to learn Japanese. I think it's a beautiful language, but I knew how hard learning Chinese was, and I was like, do I really want to put myself through that whole process again for another really difficult language that's so different from, the languages I know? But then in 2018, I went to Japan. I completely fell in love with the country, with the culture, with the language. And then when I came home from my trip to Japan, a demo in Japanese inspired by baby metal popped up on Hit Record, and they were looking for someone to sing backing vocals. And of course, I thought this was the perfect opportunity for me to experiment with the Japanese language. The woman who wrote and performed the song in Japanese, she actually provided me with a great pronunciation guide. So first of all, she shared the original lyrics in Japanese, so in kanji and hiragana and katakana, but then she also provided a pronunciation guide. And I'm not talking about Romaji, I'm talking about she really wrote it out so that English speakers would know how to pronounce it. So she really made a huge effort. And not only did she do that, she also talked about her lyrics, the translation for the lyrics, because it's important to know what you're singing. You're not just like making sounds, you want to know what you're saying. And she also explained, the significance of these lines in Japanese culture, and then how they could be connected to Beyond Good and Evil lore. So it was really in-depth, it was really cool, really interesting. And the reason I want to share this song with you guys is because I had to study for it. For other songs, it was short lines, little backing vocals here and there. But for this song, it was like several verses, several choruses. It was a bridge. It was so many lyrics in a language that I had never studied or spoken or tried before. So I really had to study the lyrics, and then at the same time, I wanted to know what they meant, so that while I was singing them, I'd know what I was saying. And it was pretty challenging, and it took several days of, I would call it intense training to get it right. Japanese is hard, you guys.
Hi. Are we studying Japanese? Yes. Hi. Mizaru, kikazaru, iwazaru, janai. Janai, janai, janai. Wareware wa kachiku e kachiku, 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 kachiku e kokushizare e unme. People must think I'm crazy, or studying Japanese while singing. Kikazaru, iwazaru, janai, janai. Mizaru, kikazaru, iwazaru, janai. I am not your monkey. I am not your monkey. I am a hybrid. We are not your monkeys. We hybrids. You want us to stay quiet?
but we are pirates. You don't want to riot? Too bad because we're pirates! Yeah, I think I got it. I think it turned out really great in the end. I'm really happy with the result. So was, you know, the person who originally wrote it. And I was so happy because, like, that's really important to me that, you know, you get positive feedback from the person who actually wrote and recorded those lines. And the cool thing is that I actually enjoyed this experience so much that the next year I started studying Japanese. I made the decision. It kind of gave me, you know, that final push that I needed, and I've been studying Japanese for a year now, so that's pretty cool. I guess in a way, making music for Beyond Good and Evil inspired me to actually go study a new language. So yeah, to sum up, I have recorded rapping and singing in, let's see, we have English, of course, we have French, which is not that big of a problem for me because, you know, I live in Belgium and half of the country speaks French, and I had French in high school, so I'm not fluent in French, but I know how to pronounce it, so that one was okay. There's Mandarin Chinese, which is a pretty difficult language, but I studied it for quite some time, and I also got a lot of feedback from native speakers. I have quite some, you know, Chinese friends, and you know, I asked them on social media. I kept, you know, DMing them like, what do you think of this line? What do you think of this line? Is this good? Is this good? So I'm pretty sure that those are okay. Then there's a bit of Spanish and Cheeky Little Monkeys. I worked really hard on that one. Spanish was surprisingly difficult for me, and I kept asking everyone, like, does this sound okay? I actually also had, I asked it on Hit Record, but I also had a Spanish colleague at work, and I, like, asked her for feedback as well. They all said it sounded fine. I wonder if they were just being nice to me. I don't know. Like, please, if it sucks, you know, I wish they had told me. Nothing to do about it now, because the song is done, but I really hope that I did a good job there. So wait, English, French, Mandarin Chinese, Spanish. We have Japanese in We Are Hybrids, which, you know, I just talked about and I really like. And then we have, I'm missing one. Oh, well, Hindi for, you know, Unite Us, which is just the one little mantra that I sang along with. But still, you know, it's pretty cool that, you know, I get to do 6 languages in Beyond Good and Evil too. Also, there's a 7th. I also rapped along with Jaehan to Bang Bang in Swiss German. But I don't think they ended up using my backing vocals there, so I recorded them, but they weren't used. But I don't mind, I don't have any regrets. I had a great time shouting along to Jaehan in Swiss German about Swiss chocolate. You know, who doesn't want to rap about Swiss chocolate in Swiss German? You know, I mean, it's pretty cool. So yeah, that's 6 languages that I performed in for Beyond Good and Evil 2, and all of those are not my native language, and I think that's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool experience. I learned a lot about languages. I learned a lot about the cultures also, which is really cool because I'm super interested in that. And yeah, I just wanted to share that experience and that process with you guys. Quick reminder before I let you go, don't forget to tune in to Ubisoft Forward at E3 on June 12th. I'm really hoping they will mention something about Beyond Good and Evil 2. I have a good feeling about it. I'm not sure, but I feel like it's gonna happen. So, you know, watch it with me, talk about it on social media. Let's, you know, freak out together online as the Ubisoft Montpellier logo pops up. That would be so cool. So yeah, fingers crossed. And in the meantime, I would say take care and stay cheeky.